Hey, this is Red. Let's be honest, you are living in a graveyard. Look into the corner of your room. See that dusty guitar you haven't touched since 2022? Or that stack of self-help books that are currently serving as a very expensive coaster? Or maybe it's that coding bootcamp you bought, did 2 lessons of, and now the Duolingo owl is sending you passive-aggressive emails. Every time you look at that stuff, you feel it, that little sting of guilt. Society calls you flaky. They say you lack grit, or the classic insult, jack of all trades, master of none. The story is always the same. You start a new hobby with main character energy. You buy all the gear. You watch 10 hours of YouTube tutorials. You feel like this is it. This is my calling. But then, right when things get real, the feeling evaporates. You get bored. You quit, and you move on to the next shiny object. After a few years of this, you start thinking you're broken. You look at your track record and ask, why can't I just stick to one thing? But today, I'm gonna flip the script. You aren't broken. You aren't lazy. You actually have the exact same brain wiring as a genius polymath. The only difference, they know how to handle the glitch. Let's look at the software running in your head. Scientists call it the knowledge instinct. It's your brain's hunger to reduce uncertainty. But your brain is a bit of a junkie. It doesn't care about having wisdom, it cares about the speed of getting it. We call this reward prediction error. Here's what it feels like. Say you start learning photography. Everything is new. The learning curve is steep. You go from 0 to hero in a week. Because you're learning so fast, your brain floods you with dopamine. It feels like the honeymoon phase of a relationship. The world is full of possibilities. But this is a trap. This is the Novice High. Eventually, you figure out how the camera works. The mystery fades. The learning curve flattens. You enter the plateau. And for your brain type, that means the dopamine faucet turns off instantly. This is the fork in the road. A master pushes through the boredom because they're looking for depth. A dabbler quits because they were only here for the drug. You aren't quitting because it got too hard, you're quitting because you're in dopamine withdrawal. Your subconscious does the math and says, yo, the energy to learn this hard stuff isn't worth the cheap thrill anymore, so you stop. But let's have a brutal reality check. Did you quit because you mastered it, or did you quit because your ego took a hit? Usually, we run away the moment we feel stupid. And the reason you run is because a specific muscle in your brain is weak. We talk about willpower like it's magic. It's not. It's biology. Neuroscience found the source of tenacity. It's a brain region called the Anterior Mid-Cingulate, or aMCC. Think of the aMCC as a literal muscle inside your skull. Andrew Huberman talks about this. Research shows this area only grows when you do things you hate. If you love the task, the aMCC sleeps. If you hate the task but do it anyway, the aMCC gets swole. For a dabbler, the aMCC is atrophied. It's weak. You haven't hit the mental gym in years. Every time you felt bored in the past, you quit. You dropped the weight. So now, even a tiny inconvenience like a boring chapter in a book or a bug in your code triggers a system shutdown. It's like asking a couch potato to sprint a marathon. Of course you collapse. But here is the good news. Brains are plastic. You can get ripped at any age. Superagers, old people with sharp minds, have thick aMCCs because they spent a lifetime overcoming challenges. So how do we fix your weak willpower? We need to send your brain to the gym. But listen to me, do not go beast mode on day 1. If you try to grind for 4 hours, you will get injured and quit again. You need progressive overload. I call it the 15% push. When you're practicing your hobby and you feel that urge to quit, that moment when the boredom hits, do not stop. But don't force yourself to suffer for hours. Just push for 15% more. If you plan to read 10 pages and want to quit at page 3, read to page 4, then close the book. That tiny gap, that 5 minutes of embracing the suck, that is the rep. That is how you thicken the aMCC. Now, I need to make a distinction from my neuro-spicy friends. If you have ADHD, listen up. Your dopamine system is running on a different operating system. Trying to simply willpower your way through the plateau can lead to burnout and shame. For the ADHD brain, you don't just need internal grit, you need external scaffolding. Task visualization. Break the project into tiny, visible steps. Body doubling. Work with a friend. Borrow their focus. Gamification. Turn your life into a video game. XP, levels, rewards. Use tools, don't just blame yourself for being weak. There is one final boss we need to defeat: boredom intolerance. The reason the plateau feels so painful is because your baseline for stimulation is broken. We live in the age of supernormal stimuli. TikTok, Instagram, sugar, porn, these things flood your brain with effortless, cheap dopamine. Compared to a 15-second TikTok, learning Spanish feels painfully slow. Your brain is calibrated to high-intensity noise. You need a dopamine reset. I'm not saying become a monk, just practice stimulus control. When you work, put the phone in the other room. Let yourself be bored. Boredom isn't a signal to quit, it's the loading screen for deep work. So here's the proposal. We're approaching a fresh start. I want you to commit to a 6-month challenge. Pick one interest, just one, and lock in. Forget about becoming a master. The goal isn't the skill, the goal is the pain. Your goal is to hit the plateau, feel the boredom, feel the weakness, and do the work anyway. Use the 15% push. Once you prove to yourself that you can survive the dip, you unlock a new identity. You stop being a quitter and start being a polymath in training. Red says thanks. Click subscribe. It keeps the system running.